what does a devotee think? Instead of throwing the cause to others. So we are coming back to the thread of cause of suffering and how to get rid of it right now. So when we understand that the cause of suffering could be any of this, as the bull said, we are coming here to understand what Prabhupada is saying. Although bull and cow, which is personality of religion and personality of earth, knew perfectly well that the personality of Kali was a direct cause of their sufferings, still, as devotees of the Lord, they knew very well also that without the sanction of the Lord, no one could inflict trouble upon them. According to Padma Purana, our present trouble is due to the fructifying of seedling sins. Right? So what we have right now, so there are multiple reactions of the actions that we perform. Right? So imagine, so let's take the example of a farmer. And imagine the farmer is sowing a seed in the land. What are the different factors that are responsible for that seed to grow? Quality of light, quality of seed, quality of soil, not quality of light. Sunlight, soil, water, sunlight, luck, God's grace. Okay, God's grace, ultimately, Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. Right? For every activity that is there, Bhagavad Gita beautifully explains the 5 different factors, right? So like that here, ultimately, so that shloka mentions that Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. We can have Adhishtanam, Tatha Karta, Karanam Cha Pratakvidam, Vividascha Pratak Cheshta, Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. We can have everything else. Ultimately, we need the mercy of the Lord. So what's happening is, first is the quality of seed, right? So let's go hand in hand with the seed and what we are sowing as action, right? First, what do? We think of something. We constantly keep thinking, then we act on it, right? So fortunately for us in Kali Yuga, what we think does not have a reaction, okay? So only the actions have reactions. So now when we go ahead and we sow a thought, reap an action. So we've been sowing that thought for such a long time that we have started acting on it, right? So what do? That's the seed. Okay, so we have put it. Sometimes we put multiple seeds in one place. Same thing, action, we just put it in that place, and then what do? We start, so soil, we have thrown that seed in the soil. Okay, so what's the soil here? This body and the swabhava that we have, the nature that we come from many, many births, right? So that's the quality of soil which it is sown in. Imagine a bad thought comes to a person who has a natural swabhava of goodness in them. What will they do? At the same time, they will think and decide that I'm not going to water this, I'm not going to grow it, right? Sometimes when we speak something ill of someone, the other person will say, you know what, I'm really not into gossiping. I don't like politics. So can we just do Matchitta, Madgata Prana, as Krishna says, like, can we just talk Krishna and Krishna conscious stories instead of talking about someone else, right? What will they do? In the seed, the soil is a fertile soil that this person has. So they are never going to take that unwanted seed or the poisonous seed. So what does this person do? As soon as the seed was sown in that soil, the person is saying, I don't want to grow this. So they are never going to give water, and even if it grows with the little water that is present in that soil, this person, because they understand that this is a poisonous seed, even if it grows, understanding the after effect of it, they will know that this is a weed and it will kill my actual plant. Understanding this, they will pull the weed out, they will de-weed it and keep throwing it till the time it's gone out of them. Is that clear? So this is sowing the seed and then the seed starting to germinate. That same person, if the quality of the soil, just like we saw, if they are a good soil, they understand that they only want to cultivate good plants. What will they do? They will pour water for good plants and constantly and regularly they will watch for weeds around it, because please remember, weeds grow faster than the good plants. Since I've been in the farm for almost 2 years in Salem, I have seen that people, when they imagine if a crop has to grow for 3 months to give that kind of a harvest. Some grow in 3 months. It depends on what we, of course, are growing. So even if it is 3 months, in a month, they will, in the first month itself, they will have to do de-weeding at least twice or thrice a month. Because what happens? The weed will grow around the plants and it will absorb all the energy that is required for the actual plant, and they will go much faster. It's the same thing when we're doing an activity which is negative, which is producing a negative impact, grows much faster. Just imagine, sit back and introspect and think, how many hours in a day do I think good for others or good thoughts, right? How many hours in a day am I thinking that somebody did something bad to me and I want to return it back? How many hours are we constantly mulling over this, right? Or watching a TV serial and crying for others' sadness and emotions and all of that, right? So once we understand that these unwanted weeds have to be thrown out, I am a fertile soil and the quality of seed is good, what will the right person do? They will pull the weed out constantly and consciously. Once that is done, the water pouring has to happen, manure has to happen, sunlight should be given. So imagine, water and manure is in our hands, right? Sunlight and rainfall at the right time is in the hands of the Lord, right? So during the harvest time, if it is extra rain, the entire crop and harvest will be finished, right? At the same time, when it is growing, if there is no rain, also it cannot grow. How much can we? So when they cultivate, also when they sow the seed, in the year, what is the time of the year where they sow? That is also one of the requirements to see, right? So I remember that when they bring a seed, they say, for this seed, this kind of rain is required, and at this point, this kind of monsoon will come. So we have to sow the seed, right? So they're thinking of the time of the year also, to say that when I sow it now, it will happen. So these are all in the hands of the Lord. They think that rain has to come. If the Lord is merciful, if there is a good karma done by the people of the land, by the king who's ruling the land, of course it is going to come. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. That's why Kali Yuga is moving towards more drought and problem, no water, loads of problems. Why? The collective karma is very difficult to digest, right? And so what's happening? Just like how Bhumi Devi stored all the seeds and everything inside her when Vena was ruling, and then Prithu Maharaj had to come and literally run behind her to allow her to give it to the people. Exactly like that, when the king or the people, the collective karma is going to be very destructive, then Bhumi is not in a giving mood, right? So coming back to the analogy of this, we pour the right water and the manure, which is us constantly understanding what is the association that I am with, what am I reading, what am I thinking, right? This is all water and manure. And what is the sunlight and those favorable winds and rainfall? That's the mercy of the Lord. So if we have the association, which is like manure and fertilizer, association with the devotees, constantly push for having that association, because without that water and without that manure, the plant will not be fertile. It may grow, but it will be a weakling, right? When I'm sure many of us would have realized that during Corona, because there was no association, we feel so low and lonely, and we are like, when am I going to get that association? When am I going to actually sit in a kirtan where people are surrounded, devotees are sitting there and very purely singing the names of the Lord? How many of us are waiting to go there, back there, right? To get that association. That is like the manure and water, right? Without that, we become weak. So constantly keep giving association of devotees, Shastra. Keep reading Shastra. That will keep us grounded in Krishna consciousness. We can chant our rounds, we can do deity worship. Specifically in Panchanga Bhakti, Narada Muni is saying the 5 things are very important. He says Bhagavat Shravan. It is extremely important. If we have to be grounded in Krishna consciousness, we have to do that deity worship regularly. We have to chant our rounds regularly. It is important that we do Bhagavat Shravan. It's important we do Bhagavat Patan. If that is there, if the philosophy is there, that's like the water. It has to seep in to the roots, so that the roots are deeply fixed in Krishna consciousness for that person. Once all of this is done, then the mercy of the Lord as sunlight and favorable winds and rainfall, why would it not come? If we put that right effort in this month of Damodar, just like the Lord says, you put the effort like Yashoda Maya did, and the Lord will definitely look back and think, this devotee has put in a lot of effort. Now it is my chance to reciprocate. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. He's saying, the way you deal, I reciprocate. Why will he not reciprocate? He is like the parent, right? We do little bit, he is going to reciprocate in a huge number, right? In a huge quantity. So definitely he will reciprocate. So when we are growing sinful activities, then it is in the form of kutam, bijam, phala, unmukham, prarabdha, aprarabdha. These are the different ways of growing sinful activities, right? When we don't want to grow them, we understand how to grow the right right tree, how to ground it right with the right roots. Then automatically this particular person who thinks he's in the midst of suffering, who's been dropped into this suffering world, can very easily grow into a beautiful tree, right? Which is offered directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the fruits that are coming out of this tree will be very sweet, because all care has been given to growing this particular tree, right? Then why would this Bhakti Lata Bij not reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead's Loka? Why would it not? There is no two ways about it. So why is there suffering? We are placed right in the midst of this place. And if we have to move out, this is the way to go about it. Instead of sitting behind, and like the businessman who was talking about corona, lockdown, economy, banking system, stop complaining about anything else. The responsibility is ours. The bull is saying it. Dharma is teaching us today by saying, it's not with anyone else. It's in my hands. What I have done is coming back to me.